Okay, Achilles. So this might not be the complete fix or cure by any means, but what it will do is give us a bit of an assessment to see how well the foot and the ankle are moving, which then means how well the heel is moving, which then gives an indication of how much slack the Achilles is or isn't getting. It also just serves as some really easy and simple mobility for the foot and Achilles and the heel that you can do really regularly. So, take some socks, it's the easiest way, bundle them up and just put them underneath the arch of your foot. Okay, you can flatten them out a bit or puff them up a bit depending on what you want and what you need in terms of what you can feel. We're going to start behind and my shin is going to angle backwards, okay, like that. So I've kind of got a bit more weight in sort of the heel here, outside edge of the heel, more than anything else. But I'm always trying to keep the ball of the big toe, ball of the little toe and the heel in contact for the entire exercise. So we start behind like this, and then we're just going to rock forwards, move this shin forwards. And as I get forwards like this, I should feel the pressure increase on top of those socks, because really what's happening is my arch is starting to squish towards the floor as I pronate, and then as I come back out it lifts off, so there's a bit less pressure. So that's the first thing, is can you feel all of that? And it's just rocking back and forth. Next thing is, when you do that, are you getting any having any trouble keeping the 3 points down? So the ball, the big toe, ball, the little toe and the heel. If any of those are lifting off, then we need to look at that. You just go as far as you can, so I can go quite far actually. Quite impressed with myself. And just keep on rocking back and forth. You shouldn't get any toe crunching. If you start crunching your toes, that's a really good sign that you've not pronated and you've skipped past it. So what I mean by that is, if we can flatten out the arch, you end up on the ball of your foot more than anything else. The toes are actually pretty free. I can still wiggle my toes around a little bit in here. If you start crunching your toes up, that has a chain reaction and all the bones in the foot get scrunched up with it, which then means that this navicular bone can't move out of the way, which then means that your calcaneus can't do that small tip that it's supposed to do. If that can't do a little tip, it means that your Achilles, especially around this sort of right at the bottom near the heel and even actually underneath the foot itself, that Achilles gets put on a permanent stretch. So when you start adding in the pounding of like running on top of it, it adds up quite quickly. Whenever we've got any kind of Achilles pain or tendinitis sort of creeping through, it's always an overload for what that tissue can handle, and that can come from the obvious things like a sudden increase in intensity or volume. So obviously if you start running after having a bit of time off, or if you suddenly run a lot further than you usually have, or you suddenly run a lot faster than you usually have, combination of all three. If you have sometimes like shoes, if you've got old shoes and then you suddenly start doing a few more miles, they can wear out a bit and that can make a difference. They're the obvious bits. The less obvious is the mobility through the foot and the ankle and the heel. Like I said, if we can get that to move, then we can offload that Achilles a little bit. If it doesn't move and we scrunch the toes and all that kind of stuff and pull up, if you can ever see the bones on the top of your foot and that your toes are curled up and you've got this tendon at the front, we know that you are going to put a lot more strain into this heel and Achilles, because it's not giving the chance to unload and load, it's just sort of staying on the whole time. So dead easy, dead simple. I would do 50 to 100 reps a day for a couple of weeks. At the very least, we're going to mobilize all that, and you can feel what it's like to actually let the foot and ankle do what it's supposed to do. If you can't feel that, then we definitely know it's worth doing. If you can feel that, just do a few reps, just, 100 a day. I think 100 a day would be quite cool. At least we're getting some mobility into that area, which will help to offload and load this Achilles a little bit. And then if you do all that and you don't see a difference, or not as much of a difference as you need, that's where you start looking at some specific strengthening for the foot and the Achilles. You can do your classic calf raises by all means. But again, you're trying to find the calf raise, or you're trying to make the calf and foot work in a way where you can actually get in and out of the pronation with the heel tip and not just banging out reps. Even though when you're doing that, it will still work. It's not as, it's not as specific as if we're actually running, because obviously you don't just push up and down. When you're running, you've got that hold and roll element, just like we're practicing. So you can work on some of those. And then maybe some progressions into some plyometrics, some lower level plyometrics to get used to it, because if you can do all that without this Achilles flaring up as much, then it's a good sign that we've got the movement back, and we understand how to use that movement under some faster and heavier loads. Then it's about getting back into your running, but progressing it, so actually having a plan of action in terms of how much you're going to do, at what speeds, all that kind of stuff, leading towards the bigger goal of what you're after. Even if you're just after general fitness and you're just trying to get out for runs and see where it takes you, you still need a bit of plan so that you don't end up overloading it by doing too much volume, too much intensity. It's always that balance between all of them. Hopefully that's helpful and that makes sense. If it doesn't, please just get in touch and I can go through the exercise or any of the program elements if that's something you're interested in. But yeah, let me know how it goes.